Today's study we will be speaking of is called The Coming of the Aliens. Do aliens exist? Where do UFOs come from? What is behind it? Scriptures teach that we are not alone in God's creation, but that there are many of other intelligent beings besides us. The Bible speaks of the existence of three heavens and calls them heaven, first heaven or our atmosphere, heavens, second heaven where the sinless worlds are, and heaven above the heavens, third heaven where the throne of God is. In the third heaven is the throne of God, and there are the Father, Jesus, and the good angels, as well as a few of the saved who were taken from the earth to the third heaven. In second heaven are other sinless worlds. The Bible talks about them, to the intent that now unto who the principalities and powers in heavenly places might be known by the church the manifold wisdom of God. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Here he says that there are beings who live in heavens. It tells us that the heavens are inhabited. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down to you having great wrath, because he knows that he has but a short time. For by him, Christ, were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones of dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him. The first heaven represents our atmosphere and all the space under the heavenly dome, or firmament. That's where we live. Fallen angels are overthrown there, and they cannot go outside the dome and visit sinless worlds. For the heavenly firmament, the Bible tells us, Hast thou with him spread out the sky, which is strong as a molten looking glass? The word spread out, roll out, or stretch is a word used in Old Testament to show when a blacksmith would, by hammering a piece of metal, bring out a thin sheet. And this is used to describe how God, when he was creating the world, stretched out or roll out the heavenly firmament, which is strong as a molten glass. He also says for the firmament, And God said, Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made a firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. There are waters below the firmament, but also there are waters above the firmament. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. When we would go to the ends of the earth, where the heavenly firmament is touching the ground, we could touch and see his handiwork. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light rule the night. He made the stars also, and God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. The firmament provides support to heavenly bodies, the sun, moon, and stars, which the Bible calls the host of heaven. The stars can never be galaxies because they are small and located under the dome. We do not see anything above the firmament. There are many sinless worlds that do not communicate with us because we are placed in isolation because we have fallen into sin. Aliens or sinless worlds do not visit us because we are in sin and we are in quarantine in relation to other worlds. That is why none of them visit us who live under the dome. Then, who are the aliens who appear to us and visit us? Beneath our heavenly dome, the only extraterrestrial beings, save the good angels, are only fallen angels who have been cast down from heaven to this world. We read about it. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Satan's presence in heaven after Christ's ascension led to war in heaven, and we know the outcome. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. This is Lucifer's second overthrow. Since then the heaven, where the sinless worlds are, has been closed to Satan forever. This overthrow of the great accuser brought indescribable joy in heaven among all sinless beings. And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, Now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil is come down to you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he has but a short time. Since then, Lucifer has directed all his strength and energy to the enslavement of the inhabitants of the earth and to the establishment of tyranny over this world. Knowing that his time is running out, he uses every opportunity to deceive and keep the inhabitants of the earth in fear. Lucifer and the fallen angels can transform themselves into any bodily form and thus present themselves to humans. Lucifer appeared to Eve in the form of a speaking snake to deceive her. In olden times, fallen angels scared and deceived people, turning into werewolves, witches, vampires, and various other terrible creatures. Today they often transform into reptiles and aliens, which is much spoken of nowadays. However, there are also hybrid creatures called Nephilim, who are descendants of fallen angels and human women. How did the Nephilim come into existence? Before the flood, as well as after the flood, fallen angels entered into relationship with human women and created hybrid beings called Nephilim. We read about it. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men. When did the angels commit this sin? And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he had reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day, even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. Fallen angels who entered into a natural, intimate relationship with woman, God has thrown into everlasting chains under darkness into the abyss. This is a sort of a solitary confinement for the fallen angels who cross the border. And Sodom and Gomorrah, who have done the same in like manner, giving themselves to fornication, were condemned with the vengeance of eternal fire, and now they stand as a warning example to the future generations. Satan is also trying to ruin people today. He wants to transfer his genetics, his seeds, his DNA to the human race. Then a man becomes participant in the nature of fallen angels and irrevocably evil. It is a solution for the destruction of man. Lucifer's DNA can be injected into someone and then it becomes part of a person. Satan's DNA spreads throughout the body, unites with a person's DNA, and the person is completely genetically transformed. The person becomes demonized and irrevocably evil, and God's plan of salvation for such a person has failed. A DNA transformed person ceases to be a human and becomes a Nephilim. The person is demonized and irrevocably evil. Thus, the condemnation from Revelation is exactly the same as for the pre-flood world, and that is complete destruction. Today, fallen angels do not enter into an intimate relationship with human women, so that God does not condemn them to the penalty of being locked in the abyss. That is why they use in vitro fertilization to create such beings and present them to us as aliens. How do they perform in vitro fertilization today? Millions of women across the world talk about extraterrestrial beings who abducted them and performed in vitro fertilization on them. Fallen angels merge human and angelic genes to obtain a new species of intelligent beings on Earth, the Nephilim. In the past 70 years, there have been very frequent abductions by aliens, namely by fallen angels. Women have been abducted in large numbers by alien beings or demons in various parts of the world and teleported to UFO flying objects by mysterious rays. There was in vitro fertilization performed with the seeds of fallen angels. After the task was completed, they were returned to Earth. Many women complain that aliens have performed some procedures on their reproductive organs, which could also be called modern technological rape. Many women remember facing their newborns who already had strands of hair and whose presence at the same time caused them repulsion as well as a strange feeling, "This is my child." Here we must mention a very common event spread around the world, which is called the phenomenon of missing pregnancies. The victim of the abductions, whether they be in America, England or Brazil, they tell almost identical stories of how they suddenly became pregnant and how their pregnancies were also abruptly terminated. After conception, the women were abducted again for the second time at a very early stage of pregnancy. Then their fetus was taken, that is the newly conceived child, and then they were returned back. Many of them also remember how they later found themselves in a situation where they met several times with some small children who did not have a human appearance, and how extraterrestrial beings required them to touch, hug, or hold the children. Aliens abduct women for the second time when they are from the 8th to 10th week of pregnancy. Then they remove their embryo or unborn baby. Women sometimes notice bleeding during this time. What is surprising is how do they manage to remove an embryo or an unborn baby at such an early period and still keep it alive? As the time goes by, the embryo or the child grows up into mature Nephilim or a hybrid, which is to be presented as a new type of extraterrestrial intelligence that exists on the Earth. There are various types of Nephilim hybrids made and brought up by fallen angels. They are the product of fallen angels, fallen people, and animals who are on this sinful earth. All the genetic material which is used to create Nephilim or hybrids is from this earth. Only the alien genetics are of fallen angels who are of extraterrestrial origin. And perhaps this might be one of the most important details in this study. Alien visits are not possible in a closed system of the Earth with a dome. No one will fall for this alien deception with a clear understanding of the truth about the shape of the Earth. People who know the truth will quickly realize that the aliens visiting our closed dome system must be demons or genetically modified people from this Earth. Nephilim are kept at the ends of the earth or in underground cities, and they will be used in due time for a magnificent deception. In 2012, they presented the imminent return of Nephilim to this world. Is there something secretly planned that will terribly surprise this world? The Nephilim will be used in the great game of good and bad policemen at the end of the history of this world. Of course, Lucifer will present himself as Jesus in the role of a good policeman, as the one who saves the human race from intruders. The Lord Jesus warned us of this. Watch out that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name claiming, "I'm the Messiah," and will deceive many. For there shall arise false Christs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that, if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Where do flying objects come from? Lucifer uses illusions, hypnosis, and other satanic skills to manipulate people. Then people see it as real what was just shown to them. So in this manner, he often shows UFO objects. However, there are also real flying objects that are made of special materials and that move at incredible speeds. Today, it is an advanced technology developed by fallen angels through humans to perfection. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, that is, with men, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against the fallen angels, to say, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Therefore, only but divine power can aid us in this war and preserve us from their influence and power. Lucifer began to rapidly develop alien technology through Nazi since World War II and develops it to this day through the world's superpowers, but in secret. So the people are those who develop it, but fallen angels stand behind it all. This is crucial to understand, for our war is not against men, but against the spirits, dark rulers of this world, the fallen angels. They are the true rulers of this world. Wernher von Braun is one of many Nazi scientists who were transferred to NASA to continue his research work. How it all began in Nazi Germany. Nazis and UFOs. Hitler was appointed by the Luciferians of his time to establish three spiritualist occult societies, Thule, Vril, and Einabe. Through them, he received supernatural information from fallen angels on how to create modern and superior technology to use to wage war with. He did that by gathering all the strongest occultists of his time around the world and bringing them to Germany. Then he collected all the possible literature he could get, which explains how to establish communication with the invisible world, through which the fallen angels gave them advanced information on modern technology. Through these societies, Lucifer also gave them a map with Antarctica, with many natural bases where they were supposed to settle and where the Nazis would continue their research even when the war was over. Satan knew that the Creator would stop the Nazis in their move to overtake the world, so he moved people and technology to Antarctica in time to continue to develop his deceptions without hindrance. German submarines and ships went to Antarctica on several occasions carrying people and equipment. German planes marked the territory on Antarctica in the size of Germany and named it New Swabia. For 3 weeks, German pilots having metal wedges and flag and a swastika sign marked the territory for the Third Reich, the size of Germany. That place was named New Swabia. I fulfilled the mission assigned to me by Marshal Göring. The first German planes flew over Antarctica. Every 25 kilometers, our planes dropped wedges with a pendant. We covered an area of about 600,000 square kilometers, of which 350,000 square kilometers were photographed. My sailors have found a real paradise on Earth. The German submarine fleet can be proud to have created an invincible fortress for the Führer on the other side of the world. Not so long ago, in Antarctica, a kilometer under the ice, large lakes were discovered. The water temperature in them is 18 degrees Celsius. Above the surface of the water are domed vaults filled with warm air. It is assumed that these lakes are constantly heated from below. For centuries, huge underground tunnels and caves have been created under the ice. These have become suitable places for making secret bases. The Nazis built their secret base in Antarctica. From the beginning of 1939, a regular shipping line began between Antarctica and Germany with a specially made research ship called the Schwabenland. Mining and other equipment are transported to Antarctica, including railway trucks, wagons, and large tunnel digging machines. US Navy Admiral Richard Byrd has been ordered to destroy a Nazi base in Antarctica. He's leaving for Antarctica with his fleet. He said his expedition was attacked by strange flying objects, appearing underwater and moving at high speeds, and they caused great destruction on the expedition. The discs flew out of the water at high speeds and flew between the masts and the ships at such a speed that the flow of turbulent air destroyed the radio antennas. Several planes managed to take off from the Casablanca carrier. I couldn't even make to blink when 2 of them were hit by some mysterious rays that came out from the front parts of the flying objects. Who made the American squadron withdraw? In the post-war years, secret documents were discovered in the secret Nazi archives. They clearly prove that German scientists have been researching various forms of flying discs. Nothing similar had been known or done in the world until then. How could Nazi scientists and engineers have made such technological progress? The spiritual society of DNA, which was the most mysterious organization of the Third Reich, was responsible for that. It is the only known state structure in history which researched magic as well as mysticism with official support and funding of the state. No other organization has owned so much information and has had such an impact on the development of magic technology as the Ainebe Society did. Hundreds of employees at more than 50 Ainebe institutes are involved in mathematics and astronomy, genetics and medicine, magic and dowsing. There is talk of the construction of an unusual aircraft. Nazi Germany cooperated with demons and received supernatural information from them in order to use them to accomplish their goals. The spiritualist societies of Toul and Vril called for the cooperation of a scientist and a researcher, Victor Schauberger. The inventor is asked to make an engine specifically for flying discs. The consent was given by the state. The runaway shows a prototype of a Vril disc with a Schauberger engine that should take off. A rare photo of the test flight of the Vril disc with winter camouflage has been preserved. Hans Kohler converter was also used for the disc which does not require conventional fuels. Some of these research companies have moved to Antarctica in a place called New Swabia. At least one disc research factory was moved there. They were evacuated to secret underground facilities and after the war, they continued to research work there, hidden from the public. Today, this technology has been developed to perfection. However, fallen angels often use illusions or hypnosis when presenting UFO flying objects that are made of metal and bend, elongate or disappear before human eyes, which leaves observers breathless. And for atheists and those persuaded only by what science itself tells them, Satan has yet another deception: extraterrestrials. The writer and theologian Marvin Moore wrote, "Scientists go close up to the answer to the difficult question: are human beings the only intelligent creatures in the universe? If anyone is trying to get in touch with us, we are ready to listen," says Paul Horowitz, Harvard University physicist charge of the project. Science and contemporary science fiction meet at one point. Both are intensively interested in intelligent beings beyond our own planet and solar system. Fiction writers dream about them. Today, scientists are searching for them. And whether it's genuine science or fiction science, I'm fully persuaded that Satan is using these means to soften up the world for the masterpiece of deception. When Satan appears as Christ, I fully expect that he will introduce himself as E.T. If not, he is going to have to ignore all the genuine scientific search for extraterrestrials and all the science fiction, all the Star Wars movies and videos and books and magazines articles that have flooded the entertainment market during the last several decades. But Satan isn't going to ignore all that. He is the one behind it all, and I'm convinced it's part of his strategy to prepare the world for his masterpiece of deception. Fiction science exploded in America and the world to its peak in movies, books, and video games. Is all that Lucifer's plan to prepare the world for the masterpiece of deception? We will show some data now on UFOs for the USA and China from 1999. More than 16 million Americans claim to have seen a UFO. 2,700,000 Americans claim to have met aliens. A report on UFOs in 1999 was given 2,416 times. Over 3,000 UFOs were spotted in China in 1999. Today's presidents have documentation that speaks of the appearance of the existence of the UFOs, and they actively cooperate with them. However, under the control of Lucifer, these information are deliberately concealed and are kept safe for the time of the greatest deceptions. People who have seen these objects and those beings are extremely frustrated by these cover-ups because it turns out that they are not normal when they talk about their personal experiences. So when Lucifer reveals this information through earthly rulers, all these eyewitnesses will but support this deception in which they will give vent to their deceitful experiences. The time has come to reveal the existence of extraterrestrial intelligence, and millions of people seen this. You even have sort of a most famous people like Ronald Reagan. Reagan's close encounter with extraterrestrials. Reagan, who was an actor at this time, claimed to have had an encounter with extraterrestrials who persuaded him to run for a president. He claimed he had seen them a number of times: Jimmy Carter, Barry Goldwater, Douglas MacArthur, just to name a few of the presidents. You have the other world leaders. Plus you have lots and lots of astronauts. They say that every time that we had a mission, we've been followed by something. We've been watched, we saw some craft, we saw something. Those demons are coming through, somehow they're being able to manifest in this realm. I don't know how. They are coming from nowhere and manifesting up in the skies. Terrible phenomena of supernatural character will soon be seen in the sky, which will be a manifestation of the power of demons that work miracles. Michio Kaku, a famous physicist, stated, "We could establish contact with an intelligent civilization in outer space." In a sermon on St. Peter's Square in Rome on April 12, 2014, Pope Francis stated with surprising ease, "Dear brethren, I want to tell all of you that we are not alone in space. Science has already made very serious progress, so that we will most likely find out in near future about the existence of our new brothers and sisters, with whom we will exchange signs of peace. It will be a wonderful day." Will we ever be in a situation to hear the real truth from those who have deceived us all the time and tried their best to keep us away, not to find out the truth? When the existence of the UFOs soon become officially recognized, we will again hear misinformation from the controlled mass media on this matter. We will hear lies about help from the aliens in getting free energy, and a jump in our evolution and similar topics that should gain our trust that apparently they wish us well. Is it realistic to expect that we should now hear the real truth from those who cheated on us all the time? Former President of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, said for television, with a suitcase containing the codes for weapons, the President of Russia received a special secret document. It contains information about extraterrestrials who visited our planet. In addition, they give us a report on the Secret Service which controls extraterrestrials. These two documents are obtained together with the nuclear codes. I can't tell you everything so as not to cause panic. Edgar Mitchell, the sixth astronomer to walk on the moon, as they say, wrote a letter to John Podesta, who was an advisor to Obama and later to Hillary Clinton. Dear John, the war in space is heating up, so it is important that I tell you a few things before our conversation. Extraterrestrials help us get zero-point energy. However, they will not tolerate any violence on Earth or in the space. It sounds like a science fiction, but a real Star War is possible. With these words, the letter was over. Pope Pius XII claimed to have seen a UFO in the sky above the Vatican in 1950 and was inspired by the fact that it was the ascension of Mary to heaven with a UFO object. After that, the dogma of the ascension of Mary was adopted. Pope Francis said he believes in the existence of extraterrestrial beings and that he would gladly baptize them if they decide to visit Earth. image of the aliens autopsied. We go one, then there is another one. How will the last deception on earth come true? And I saw three unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. There is a lot of talk today about reptiles that are like frogs. The Vatican Jesus Christ is also in the form of a reptile, namely snake or dragon. Everything is in the mark of a snake or a dragon, a reptile. Those who serve Lucifer, the old serpent, dragon or reptile, must publicly admit that they worship him so that he can give them power and rule over them. And I saw three unclean spirits, like frogs, come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, which go forth unto the kings of the earth, and out of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of the great day of God Almighty. The front page of the newspapers reads, Alien takes new leader on secret flight over Washington, D.C. President Clinton rides in UFO. U.S. Space Force were formed by the ex-president of the United States, Donald Trump. The U.S. Space Force left, and crest of Star Wars on the right. The crest, which was unveiled by U.S. President Donald Trump, looks unusually similar to the crest of the famous science fiction series. The space is a new world area for waging war, said Donald Trump. What is the role of the United Nations in the last deceptions? Satanist Alice Bailey has written a book on the reappearance of Christ. He says, first, he will come to a world that is essentially one world. His reappearance and his consistent work cannot be limited to one small locality or area inaudible to the vast majority, as was the case when he was here the first time. She specifically writes in that book how this will be successfully done with the help of the hierarchy of spiritual beings, cooperating with government organizations, especially with the UN. Here they mention spiritual beings, which are the fallen angels, then the government organizations and the UN. From there, all the great deception is coming to us. The world needs to be prepared by having one world government. Assume that these demons, in order to preserve the atmosphere of consistency, will not in fact visibly present themselves to human beings without first coming into contact through complicated technologies that scientists are using. They may even be able to schedule a meeting in advance so world leaders can expect them. Since scientists have verified this statement in advance with their instruments, they will accept the fraud. And when scientists, priests of modern society believe that, then everyone else will believe it. The first ambassador of mankind. The UN has chosen Malaysian Mazlan Othman as the ambassador of humanity who will have the task of getting in touch with aliens when they visit Earth. Here we can clearly see how this deception has taken the swing, that we now already have a person, an ambassador who receives the salary for her duty to welcome the aliens when they visit the world. Everything is ready, they only wait the right moment to introduce this all. The United Nations has chosen a person who will be in charge of welcoming aliens on behalf of the human race when and if they decide to visit Earth. Malaysian Mazlan Othman, an astrophysicist by profession, has been named the first ambassador of humanity. Mazlan Othman pointed out that the people should be prepared to face with the unknown forms of life of other worlds. The United Nations has prepared a field on Earth for meeting aliens from space. The director of the UN Office for Outer Space Affairs, the first astrophysicist of Malaysia, Mazlan Othman, became the official in charge of the first contact with aliens. We can see how the world is already now ready for this last deception. At the end of the study, I quote the statement of former US President Ronald Reagan. He talks about the fastest way to reject differences in the world and achieve world unity, which is in favor of everything that has been said about aliens. Speaking at the UN, US President Ronald Reagan said, "Maybe we need some external universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences in the world would disappear if we faced an alien threat outside this world." With this statement, we would end this study here. May the Lord bless us all until we meet again for the next study.